You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
feeling fresh as hell.
Well, you guys better enjoy it. The fans loved it.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin Herbert.
On the move and throws and touchdown.
Do this together. Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
This is your captain speaking. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. If you look over on the right side of the plane, you'll see my buddy Kev Huggin Duggan.
Hey!
And if you look over the left side of the plane, you'll see my buddy Kyle the Coach Duggan.
Hi, guys.
We'll set our cruising altitude to about 30,000, and we'll be in Los Angeles here shortly.
I love that intro. That was a good one. That was very good. Well done.
Kind of came to me in a dream. Welcome back, folks, to the Charger Chat. We've got, obviously, lots to talk about. We're a week away from, and we've got a great episode lined up for you. Lots of things. We've got a fan focus and a Craig experience lined up, and as always, an Ask Boltfam. But let's start off here at the top. I'm looking at the outline here, and we didn't really kind of get to talk about it, but no more Joe Lombardi, no more Shane Day, and the
fans
linebacker
rejoice.
coach. Yeah, fans are rejoicing.
It kind of felt, we talked about in the last episode, like that was coming. There was a scapegoat coming, and he was the GOAT. And not
well,
the
we saw
good
Lombardi
kind.
coming.
Yeah.
I don't know that we necessarily saw Shane Day or Will Hoyt coming.
The linebacker
coach.
firing was bizarre. There had to have been something else going on there. Because I feel like our linebacker play, if anything, Kenneth Murray got a lot better. Jude Tranquil had a breakout year.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure on that. I think there must have been something else going on there. And then, I was surprised about Shane Day. I mean, maybe you're just trying to clean house so that somebody can bring in their own passing game coordinator type thing, because that's what Shane Day was. He was QB coach and passing game coordinator. So maybe you're thinking you're more of a draw to a good coordinator if you have that position open, so he can kind of pick his own squad. Yeah. Or he may be a passing game coordinator and he doesn't want to have to deal with the old regime. So it may have been a collateral damage of letting go of Lombardi. Shane Day got the axe to make the position more appealing. I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's without being there behind the scenes, it's as good as an idea as any. But now that we're back to doing one-a-week episodes, I feel like there's a lot that we have to catch up on. We were talking about it. It's like, wow, it's been a while since I've seen you guys. How you been?
But how do you guys honestly feel about it? Like, I knew this was coming. I felt it coming. I felt it in my blood that he was going to get fired. And it's the one thing I'm kind of looking forward to, is seeing who they're going to bring in to replace him. Because it felt like, and I was reading stuff, after the fact, and he was apparently his fourth choice when he was hired, when Staley was hired as head coach. So he wasn't even
Lombardi was the fourth choice.
Choice.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So now he's got this team a couple years under his belt, and look what he did. The way some people have been saying it, and I like this idea. Like, he went out and got a new special teams coordinator in Ficken, and look what that did. The change there and the hire there. So let's hope that we can get another Ficken, but for an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what direction they go. There's been some guys that they've been picking. And is that further down?
It sure is.
It sure is. Okay. So we'll get to that in a second.
Sure is. Don't get ahead of yourself, okay?
I try not to. I'm trying to keep the flow going. I mean, I'm your captain here. I'm trying to, I gotta land this puppy.
Down.
Most of these planes fly themselves, am I right?
Go hand out some peanuts, Kevin.
There's some dark clouds ahead. I've just got my hands on the wheel here. All right. Well, let's look at the future, folks, as it stands right now.
Some fun stuff.
There's some fun stuff. We know who we're going to be playing. We know the opponents. We haven't obviously gotten a schedule yet. I am excited now, knowing they set such a high bar with that schedule release.
What are they going to do next year?
What could they possibly do for this next one?
Yeah.
No idea, but I am sure they are in the works, getting it figured out. But we do know that in 2023, there are going to be 5 international games scheduled as it stands right now: 3 in London, 2 in Germany.
Yes.
And the reason why we mention this, we know that Chargers are not going to be the home team for any of these games. That has been established. But 2 of the opponents are going to be home teams for our away games.
3,
excuse me. I'm sorry. I was
Tennessee.
looking
3 of the 5?
just at one country.
Yeah.
3 out of 5 ain't bad.
So looking at, we're talking the Patriots, we're talking the Chiefs, and we're talking the Tennessee Titans. So those first 2 are going to be in Germany, and the Titans are going to be in London. So there is a possibility.
I really feel like this is shaping up for Herbert in Germany. I really do. There's something about it. He gives off German vibes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Didn't we already have a showdown with the Titans in London too? That was the game that came down to the wire.
No one wants to see that.
I feel like they're not going to repeat that. Yeah,
No.
I feel like they're not going to repeat that. So if in the Chiefs Chargers, I feel like there's too much on the line to throw us out.
I was going to say for a division
that.
game. Yeah, that'd be wild.
I think it has to be the Patriots is the only one that makes sense. I think it makes sense to put us against them in Germany whenever that week lands. I'm sure it's the week before our bye, but that'd be pretty insane if we get Patriots in Germany. Because we didn't have an international game this last year. So
Not
I'm
this last year, no.
right?
It's been a while. Phil was our quarterback last time we had
in Mexico. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, we're due for an away game in another country. So for all of you international listeners, keep an eye out on the schedule when it does drop.
What happens as season ticket holders if there's a game, you have a home game in Germany, do you get a ticket?
You get a bratwurst.
Obviously, it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply to us this
Right.
year, but they have to give you something. You paid for the ticket.
refund.
I don't know. You might. I think you get it. I think you might get a seat.
For the
But it doesn't matter.
Germans,
We're not.
you get a
we're not home game.
bratwurst. If you're in Germany, a bratwurst. In London, you get fish and chips. They send you it in that little care package.
Straight from the source.
Straight from the source.
5-day-old fish.
It's gonna
and
be
chips.
cold as shit, but it'll be egg. It's OG.
It's just like Mother used to make.
Das is good, yeah.
So something to keep an eye on. Boy, if it was the Chiefs, how crazy would that be to have a division game in another country?
I wonder, have they done a division game overseas yet?
I don't know, maybe, but it feels like it's always very bizarre matchups.
Hey, dude, I'll take it. I would rather not go to.
They have no Arrowhead. Yeah,
no Arrowhead advantage against us. That's
just a bunch of
awesome.
screaming Germans.
Let's go.
All right. Well, now that we are officially in the off season, we do have some players to look at, some free agents, and so
it's like I don't know how I hate free agency. It's like exciting, but these are my guys. Well, so many of them,
Like with the games, we have no control, and here we have like a kindred connection to these players, and we still have no control. It's like, what's gonna happen?
Especially us being the Shamelessly Positive podcast. I feel like I've defended all of these guys to everyone for so long that I'm like, I've put too much into this. I need them back.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of familiar names. It's a pretty big list. I mean, looking at the unrestricted free agents, we've got our favorite, Kyle Van Noy. Would love to see him come back. Backup quarterback Chase Daniel, Bryce Callahan. I don't
think Chase came in with Lombardi. I think because he was running that system. So I don't think we're gonna have Chase Daniel back.
Yeah.
Chase
might not be on the case.
Chase won't be on the case. I don't think. I don't see him doing it, especially with our cap where we're gonna.
What a career though.
He'll get a job somewhere else for a couple more years.
I don't know.
I don't know. He might go into broadcasting.
He's
kind of set himself up for that. Yeah.
He's already dipped his toe in the broadcasting world. He's probably ready to go for that.
What scares the shit out of me is so did Kyle Van Noy. He's on TV right now.
He's been doing that a long time. He's had his own YouTube series when he was in New England. He's been doing a lot of that stuff.
I need at least one more year with Van Noy, dude. One more year.
Based on his tweets, he wants to come back really bad. That's what everything that he's put out there is he wants to be a Charger. And he loves the team and likes being in LA. So, man, that would be
just one more year.
Just come on.
Can you text him for us? Can you text him right now and see what he's thinking? Can you find out for us?
I mean, I could text him. He won't reply.
Let's do it. Hey, dude, you never know. Text him right now.
The worst he can say is, leave me alone. Kyle Van Noy, given the progress that he made, especially at the end of the season, it felt like everything was just starting to kind of click together.
Yeah, those last 6 games.
They have to at least make the guy an offer
Well, dude, you look at it and you look at leadership, and
that too.
I'm a firm believer in guys that are leaders. They require you to go keep them. But it's not even like he's a bad player, but he's a good leader. Like he had an incredible stretch there at the end, and he was a leader. Like guys talked about how the culture that he was helping to create. It's like we'll see how much our GM really does value leadership, because you have Kyle Van Noy and you have Drew Tranquil that are both unrestricted free agents. Drew Tranquil was calling plays for the defense, super vocal leader, breaking the team down in pregame warmups. Like there's a lot of leadership there that you're going to find out what kind of value our GM puts on it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, given what it is that they've provided, and given the talks about whether or not we should keep, or whether the front office would keep Tom Telesco, and given that they're keeping Brandon Staley, they've got to keep Tom Telesco. If they brought a new GM in, Staley would just basically be like a lame duck coach, and you don't want that in a season where you've still got Justin Herbert. So, I think keeping Kyle Van Noy and Drew Tranquil is on the list as well. Those are two big ones. Bryce Callahan, cornerback, obviously we'd love to see him come back as well, given his production. Christian Covington, defensive tackle.
Down there at the end. Morgan Fox, another guy who was also had a huge contribution to the team. So would love to see him come back. Nasir Adderley.
That's an interesting one.
That is an interesting one.
I don't know if you guys listened to the entire press conference it did not
Tommy
sound
T.
like they were that impressed with the way he finished this season.
Yeah, I mean, they benched him for Alohi there at the end. And then they talked about loving like variety. It's like you can't pay a guy for variety. You get variety with your draft class. You can't have a backup guy making money, and he's on his second year contract. He's gonna want to get paid something, you know.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back.
Let's see, DeAndre Carter. I mean, he was our punt returner. And
he was productive when all the guys went down. Like he was a good player.
He was a go-to for Herbert, to be a wide receiver. So wouldn't be surprised to see him come back. Center Will Clapp. I'd like to think there might be better centers out there.
Let's get a third, fourth round center and throw him in there, get him warmed up with Lindsley. Yeah. Something like that. It'll be an improvement. Will Clapp was rough, man.
Richard Rodgers, tight end, really didn't get a chance to see much from him, if anything. I don't even know if he got one catch this year, to be honest with you. Tyler Davison, another guy that we didn't really get to see a whole lot from. Troy Reeder had some moments.
Special team guy.
Yeah. J.K. Scott.
Signed the man.
Re-sign him.
Yeah. Got to re-sign him.
Yep.
And Trey Pipkins.
Gonna be interesting.
You're shaking your head.
I don't think
they're not going to pay him what he wants.
Paid.
They're not going to pay him what he wants. And I think you can get somebody that is a lateral, or if you want to go first round tackle, you're going to improve there right away.
Yeah.
I would be fine with that, not signing him and bringing in a first round guy, second round tackle. I think that's the move for sure. Cause you're going to have to pay him too much. And I don't think that's the spot that he definitely improved this year. Don't get me wrong. I really appreciated everything he did, but I think there's a better way you can go about that.
Trey, we needed Trey this whole year. He was huge for us, but it scares me to pay a right tackle the kind of money he's going to get when he had one good year. Yeah. And to be honest, all the years before, it kind of seemed like he didn't want to be there. So this is just the outside looking in. This may be completely unvalid, but it looked like a guy that he's in a contract year, needed to play well, went out there and did it.
Played
and now
well.
What's going to happen? Like what kind of a player are you going to get after that? You know, like he was playing through injury, which is awesome, but I don't think he plays through those injuries if he has that long-term deal and he's worried about, like what he's going to look like next year. So
sure.
I don't know. Yeah. I would feel like you have options with the way that Jamari's played. Now there's some people calling for cut Matt Filer to save some money in the cap and bump Jamari down to left guard. But then you still need that right tackle. But it is one spot that you need to fill where you have free agency and you have the draft. So it feels like Trey probably, with us already being over the cap and him being on a third round rookie deal, what he's going to want in comparison to what he got last year, I think it's going to be tough to offer him.
Totally.
So if if they were to figure out a deal that would work for, a team-friendly deal, would you be upset at that, or would you be looking forward to that?
But it would still be more expensive than a draft pick. So it's if it was a team-friendly deal, it's still going to be more expensive than some guy you can get in the first or second round, especially at pick 21.
It's the whole roster, though, right? Because then you have opportunities to go get a speedy wide receiver or a stud tight end or a safety to replace Nas. So it's like, if you're getting a really good deal on it, then yeah, you take it, because then you can fill in with that draft pick somewhere else on the roster. So it's going to have to be very team friendly. And I don't think he's interested in taking taking less pay to stay with the Chargers. I don't think there's enough draw there for him.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see what the decision ends up being with Trey Pipkins. Drew Tranquil, you already mentioned, and then Easton Stick. So both backup quarterbacks are now
probably keep Easton in that situation. He's cheaper, and they both do the same thing. They both do the same thing. They hold a clipboard on the sideline. So if you're going to go with that, I propose a question. If you could only pick 3 of these unrestricted free agents, who would you pick? Kyle,
Drew, Kyle Vanoy, Drew Tranquil, and J.K. Scott, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Punter's hard. I'm not going to go punter. I'll go Kyle Vanoy, Drew Tranquil, and Morgan Fox, because our D line is kind of decimated right now. But I don't know. It's tough. The third one's hard. The first 2 for me are easy. Mm-hmm. No, Bryce Callahan. I'd go Kyle Vanoy, Bryce Callahan, and Drew Tranquil.
What you got, Adam?
I was going to say the same thing. Kyle Van Noy, Drew Tranquil, Bryce Callahan. I think, getting a punter, JK, I think, did a lot for us. I think not every punt was fantastic, but there was a lot of times that he was able to kind of pin those guys inside the 10. So while I'd love to see him back, it wouldn't be a priority. I think Bryce Callahan, because who are our other cornerbacks? We're talking Mike Davis, who he's still going to be on contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people are talking cut him too.
There are people that are talking about cutting people right now. Just stop it, please.
Somebody I saw in Popper's article, cut Keenan.
What
is an option? Because you save like $12 million or something.
Yeah,
and then Telesco said, "I'd rather keep the players that cost money on my draft on my team than have the money for cap.
Yeah.
Like that's why they get paid. But
that's why they get paid. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to completely disagree with you, Adam. Like J.K. Scott, like our special teams gave up the fewest return yards on punts that we've had in so long. I don't remember special teams being like that. And I think it's the hang time. Like, just remember all the times there was like a turnover on a punt. It's because the hang time is all that shit. So I definitely want J.K. Scott. I want Kyle Van Noy. And I want Drew Tranquil. Those are the 3 I would definitely go with. I know I picked a punter, but he was such a game changer. He was such a difference maker this year.
Yeah. I listen, I wouldn't be angry about it. I mean, I think the conversation can be made between, I think Kyle Van Noy and Drew Tranquil, I think we're both, all 3 of us, we're all set in on that.
Yeah.
It's that third one that becomes kind of questionable.
Morgan Fox is awesome too.
Morgan Fox, Bryce Callahan, and J.K. Scott, I think you can make arguments for all of those guys.
Be a lot easier to pick 5. 3's a little tough. I kind of don't like the 3. 5's a little easier.
That's why it's a good question.
It's a great question.
I don't like good questions. I like easy questions.
So 5. Those are all the unrestricted free agents. So those are any players with 4 or more accrued seasons and an expired contract, free to negotiate and sign with any team. So we'd love to see them come back. Hopefully there's no other teams that come in and snipe the ones that we want. And then there's restricted.
And then that's also why for some of these guys, you don't cut all the coaches and clear house on the staff. Like if you want some of these guys back, you're not going to start off with a brand new coach. So that's why I think we had a limited kind of, cleaning house, even though we did get rid of Will Hoyt. Like it was pretty minimal in terms of the staff in general.
Mm-hmm. And then there's restricted free agents. So those are players with 3 accrued seasons and an expired contract. Restricted free agents are free to negotiate and sign with any team, but their original team can offer them one of various qualifying offers or tenders that come with the right of first refusal and or draft pick compensation. That list is shorter. We're talking Jalen Guyton, wide receiver, Storm Norton, right tackle, and Donald Parham, tight end.
Give me Parham and Guyton all day. get those guys.
Do we? So you have to pay the guys a new contract, right? So they have no contract, so they're gonna require you to pay them more than they're making now.
They're gonna go dabble, and then the Chargers can decide if they want to match whatever that was. That's what it was. And
right.
So yeah,
for me, Donald Parham, I love the story. I did the production and now this might sound rude, but the injury history, like
Rude.
to me,
rude. How dare you?
to me, I don't know
rude.
if Donald Parham is that important to have as a piece on the squad. He doesn't offer special teams help whatsoever, which a lot of backup tight ends generally do. He's hurt a lot, and the production in this last year was practically nothing. It felt like I don't remember him making big plays on the field when we all thought red zone target gonna make big plays. So the only one that I would really want back, and because I think we're gonna draft a tight end. I think that's what's keeping us from being an elite offense is a great tight end. Gerald Everett will not block. He can't block. Can't put him in the box and him block. So he's a wide receiver. Donald Parham was hurt too much. We need a guy that
Trey McKitty wasn't doing much.
No, he's a blocker, but there's no
He'll
threat
block,
to
but
catch
not
the
catch,
ball.
yeah.
Right,
But-
and even in blocking, we saw him miss quite a few.
And he was like the lowest graded tight end. I saw something on PFF. He was the lowest graded tight end every week for the whole season.
Yeah, I think that's what's keeping us from being a consistently like chunk the ball downfield type of team is that tight end threat does so much to those linebackers and safety in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think that we're going to go draft a tight end
That
early.
Notre Dame kid, the mayor, that'd be pretty sweet.
I mean, obviously with our Notre Dame ties, you would think that that's pretty much a slam dunk.
Well, guess what? Hey, we want offensive linemen. Tight ends kind of do both. We get a wide receiver and a lineman at combo. I mean, right?
I watched a little bit of the playoffs on Sunday. Man, watching Cincinnati and run the football.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude. Like, and then who was the night game? It was the Cowboys,
The Niners.
and the Niners. Just good God, dude.
It was their
Like,
right tackle, the McGitty guy. I can't remember his last
Notre
name.
Dame.
But that right tackle's insane.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting right tackle play like that at all on our team.
and then but you also have their tight ends. Like they will block you until the whistle's done, drive you back, and they're like power running scheme where they're down blocking and these crazy pulls jacking people up, and they have tight ends in the backfield lead blocking. George Kittle is insane. Like you have to have that. We don't have that right now. So I think in the restricted free agents, I would love to see Jalen Guyton back because I think coming off an injury, you get him really cheap. You can get him on a 1-year prove it deal pretty easy. And you can toss him in. Him and Herbert have the chemistry. We've seen the guy make huge plays. I think it's an easy, quick fit back into the scheme.
Great arguments for all of that. And then the last list is exclusive rights free agents, and those are any player with fewer than 3 accrued seasons and an expired contract. If his original team offers him a 1-year contract at league minimum based on his credited seasons, the player cannot negotiate with other teams.
That's kind of a shitty one to have.
That's a crappy setup.
That's pretty shit.
No one wants to be in that bucket.
The
No.
IRFAs. No one wants to be an IRFA.
No one wants to be in the IRFA house.
No.
That's
and one of my
Braden
favorite
Fa-
people's in the IRFA
I know.
house.
Yeah.
We're talking Braden Fajoko, Michael Bandy, and Cameron
Dicker
Big
the kicker.
Dude, Dicker.
Dicker's so easy. You pay him league minimum on a 1-year deal. Done. Easy.
Well, what was our last kicker? He was making like $3 million, $4 million, or
Hopkins?
something like that. Yeah. So that's a done deal.
You already forgot his name.
Already fucking forgot.
He's gone. He's not
Sorry.
taking any,
I had a brain
any
fart. I was
space
like-
in that brain.
You
There's so
already
much
forgot the
Dicker.
kick
I got
man.
Dicker on the mind. You know what I mean?
Kevin's
Drunk
all
on
Dicker.
Drunk on Dick.
Yeah, so I'd like to see Fajoko get taken care of.
I think
Bandy,
he's earned a spot, like a roster spot.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
like he's a roster spot guy, and you can. I mean, it sucks for Braden. Great for the team that he's in this situation where you can get him on a cheaper deal.
Well, I think maybe Covington's gone because look what happens with Braden. Like, how are we a better team earlier on in the season if he's in there?
Yeah,
There's a
I
good
agree.
chance
I
that we
believe so,
are.
yeah.
So I think he's definitely coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Braden, we'd love to come back. Michael Bandy, boy, we saw a lot of promise there in the preseason, but
It was
just did not
preseason.
pay off in the regular season. Yeah. And then obviously we want the Dick Man. So those are all of the free agents as they stand right now. I don't know. I'm sure there's deadlines to when things need to happen, and they might not even be able to do anything while the postseason's still going.
I don't think they can. We got to wait this shit out.
We got to, everybody just sit tight, wait until mid-February.
Bunker down.
Stupid team wins the Super Bowl.
Right.
Batten up the hatches, just shut everything down.
Praying for the NFC. I don't want an AFC team to win it.
Yeah. Set your Netflix.
Our boy James Ebo works for the Eagles. So that's the only connection I can see possibly like, all right, well, James Ebo's cool.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have a great time.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe he gets a bonus or something.
Yeah, if they win the Super Bowl, sure.
All right. Well, looking now at the offensive coordinator interviews that have been occurring so far, there have been quite a few. Ian Rappaport holds a couple of those where he tweets out the Chargers interviewing Rams senior offensive assistant Greg Olson for their vacant OC job. Olson is one of the most experienced OCs around.
The one thing, if you go look at his kind of resume, he jumps everywhere. He's 2 years here, 2 years there, 2 years here, 2 years there. He's not, I don't know if that's indicative of like not working out, but he does have short stints and he is a assistant right now. So that's what this is one of those moves where it's like, do you go with one of these guys that's been around for a long time, or do you shake it up and go with somebody that maybe doesn't have the miles on him, but is a newer guy with fresher ideas? And I think watching what everyone's talking about online, they're like, oh my God, we're interviewing a quarterback coach. What the f is going on? This place doesn't know what's happening. It's all on fire. Like, guys, calm down. Like we're not in the interviews. We don't know what's going on.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of questions here on what's going to happen because there's some youth and there's some age.
Right. And there's also some guys that could potentially be interviews, but it's like, hey, man, they're still playing. Like, they've still got like games to go. You can't just pull them from their team and bring them in. And yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too, is like, obviously, like there's some offensive coordinators out there that'd be like, yeah, hey, would love to have them, but there's not going to be many offensive coordinators that are going to do a lateral move from one to the other. So you're either bringing somebody up from the trenches or you're taking somebody that was a head coach who has fallen from grace and is now settling for an offensive coordinator position.
I saw somebody post, we should go talk to Norv Turner about offensive coordinator. And I was like, what is going on? Like a chickens with their heads
did not
cut
find
off,
that
just
funny.
running around bumping into each other. No, it's not going to happen.
Just pulling it. I don't know. Like, this is going to be tough. This is going to be a tough offseason for me. Because it's like, what do you want? You want a guy that's already sucked somewhere else?
That's what I mean.
That's what you want. You clearly don't like us interviewing someone with no experience, but you want somebody that's already proven that they can't do it. Is that what we want? I just think we all buckle up and enjoy the ride. And when the guy gets hired, let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
let's see. The next one Ian Rappaport tweeted out about was Rams quarterback coach and passing game coordinator Zach Robinson. He also has a Ravens request as well. So there's a few teams that have offensive coordinator needs, and so we'll be in contention with some of those guys, including the Ravens. But from what I've read about Zach Robinson so far, I kind of like what it is that he brings to the table. It'll be interesting to see how far he goes in the interview process. Tom Pelissaro tweeted out Chargers interviewing Titans tight end coach Luke Steckel for the offensive coordinator job. Steckel is apparently a fascinating name. He's 37, a Princeton grad, highly intelligent, and widely respected by players and peers.
Princeton.
Princeton.
He's very smart, I believe.
It was one of those Ivy League boys I've heard so much about.
So this could be a problem for me because I'm 38. I don't know if I can have an offensive coordinator for my team that's younger than me. It feels weird. I know Staley's only a year older than me, but you got to draw a line somewhere.
Okay, well, we know where you stand on that line.
I'm kind of kidding, but that's so young. That's crazy.
Or you're just getting old, my guy.
Dude, my wife and I went out Saturday night. We went downtown and went to a couple of the bars that we used to go to well before we had kids. And boy, oh boy, did I feel old as shit. Like some of the kids that were there were like, did you check their IDs? I went into like dad mode, like, did you ask them for their ID? Because somebody should call their parents, pick them up.
I don't know if they should be here.
Yeah,
right
I'm feeling old AF.
I think you probably identify with those. Is it Progressive that's doing the, acting like your parents commercials where you're like,
That's totally me. It's a problem.
Picking up some dadisms.
Yeah, it's totally me.
So, I mean, I'll take a guy that is highly or widely respected by players and peers. That speaks more to me than Joe Schmo on Twitter going, I don't like him. Or Kev Huggenduggen going, he's too young.
Too young.
Don't like it. Jonathan Jones tweeted out the Chargers have requested permission to interview Vikings assistant quarterback coach Jared Johnson for the vacant offensive coordinator position. Cool. And Jeremy Fowler tweeted, Chargers requested to speak with Vikings offensive coordinator Wes Phillips about the OC position, but Phillips plans to stay with Minnesota per sources. Phillips highly valued there, and Vikings building something he wants to see through.
You blew it, Wes. You had a chance. You sticking with Cousins. You blew it.
So
maybe he knows something we don't know, and Cousins is on the way out.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
And Tom Brady is on the way in.
Oh my God, that would be wild.
Stop it. With Derek Carr.
I love it. Oh, there, Oh, here we go.
Here comes Carr. I got to stick him in a
I want to see this dumpster fire happen.
I brought my matches.
He's got his popcorn and he's eating it. He's like, I got to stick around. I need a front row seat. All right. Well, there were some press conferences that happened not too long ago, and one of those was with our general manager, Tom Telesco. And we've got some quotes here from that to talk about. So Staley on traits, or is this Staley? Is this first one on Staley
it's
or Telesco?
Coach and Tom Telesco. They
Coach
both
and Tom. It's a mixture. So starting with Staley on traits that he is looking for in the offensive coordinator candidates. Staley said, you're looking for leadership, number one. You're looking for someone that can really connect a group and get them to play a certain type of way. I think that's where it starts. That comes from young guys. It comes from medium guys, older guys, fat guys, skinny guys,
cold guys,
tall guys, little guys, all the guys. It doesn't matter, but it really starts with leadership. And I think bringing out the style of play that we want to have as a football team, because it's about a football team in all three phases playing a certain style. That's what I'm really after in terms of leading the group and connecting it. Then in terms of what that looks like, the offenses that I think are the most challenging to defend, and the people who have been here with me are the ones that put a lot of pressure on you every snap in terms of marrying the run game to the pass game, putting a lot of pressure on you with personal groupings, pace, motion, and being able to get the explosions consistently. That's what I believe in. I want to have an offense that mirrors our defense, because I think that those are the types of organizations, those are the type of football teams who are consistent game in and game out, season in and season out. We're going to start that process here shortly.
While you were reading that, I had this flash of like us getting like, it was a negative thought. I don't even want to say it, but like not scoring at all. Like the first couple weeks, like just like whoever the offensive coordinator is, it is worse than what we had. You know what I mean? Like the grass is greener situation. I hope that that doesn't come to fruition. And this is like the best hire that the Chargers have ever done. 4 years, a whole bunch of Super Bowls later. He's the head coach of the whatever the Eagles counterpart is, and does really well. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
That's an interesting.
I had a moment.
That
where
was a lot
like,
to unpack.
Yeah,
there.
we just heard you.
You just lived a lifetime
through that whole thing.
I brain vomited for sure.
Yeah, you had to work through that. Hard.
I was puking it as I was saying it. It was weird.
Welcome to the other side. So you're back on the train of the guy we're gonna hire is gonna win Super Bowls.
Yeah. But
okay.
I had a moment of like, God, I hope we're making the right decision.
It's going to be a tough decision. Obviously, the guys, whoever they hire, is going to have a very crucial role on this team.
But they're talking about personality, but I want like the X's and O's to work so fucking well.
Well, of course, that's going to come into conversation.
Do you think, would you rather have a college guy that's been an offensive coordinator for a long time and you've seen him put up points, or a Steckel that's been an offensive assistant and tight end coach that gets a shot?
Well, as a fan, you can look at that and it can correlate. As a tight ends coach or a quarterback coach, like I don't know what I'm looking at. I know, like it's easier for me to make the correlation between a college offensive coordinator than one of these guys who doesn't really have much of a track record calling plays. And that's what we had a problem with, was bad play calling. So a first time stepping in calling plays, it's scary. That's why I had a moment of panic where I'm like, I hope this works.
Yeah. Obviously they're going to do all their due diligence, and it's not even going to be a decision that they're going to make by themselves, because Staley on if quarterback Justin Herbert will have input on determining who will be the next offensive coordinator. Staley said, everything that we do in the program, we try to communicate with our players, just like when I first got here, shaping your offense, it's going to go through him. When I talk about him being the system, I mean it. He has now 3 years of NFL experience to bank on. There are a lot of plays. As the head coach here for 2 years, we're going to try and keep a lot of that consistent for him where we can. And that's what I mean. As a head coach with an offensive background, that's the position that I played. What we're going to do throughout the course of his career is do that for him so that we can maximize him as a player. That's what these moves are about, maximizing him as a player and continuing to challenge and grow his game with his teammates, and ultimately forming a team that can consistently compete for world championships.
So going back to the last question, I just realized that Justin Herbert's first year, he did really awesome with Anthony Lynn. So I think anything is really possible. I think we're going to be okay.
You're saying hire Anthony Lynn?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can't hire one that bad and he'll still be fine. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be, you feel me?
Yeah. So you're getting back to your vomit where you were worried about not scoring.
I literally am scooping up the vomit and putting it back in my mouth.
No, you're just digesting it.
Swallowing it and then just like back.
Moving on. Yeah.
Sorry.
Nutritional.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
It's I think good to see that they're going to have Justin Herbert have an input on that, because obviously whatever it is, and we don't know if the hiring of Lombardi was something that he would have been like, ooh, really? Lombardi? Okay, well, you're the coach. I guess I'll just go out there and do my darndest.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, man, you've been in the league for 3 years. You know a thing or two about what it is that you are good at. And what can we do? Who can we hire that will unlock that for you? And so to have his input on that, I think is going to be helpful. It's not going to be like, all right, it's either Justin's way or the highway. He's not in that mode yet. It's going to be, what can we do to make you be better? And I think he'll have some input.
I think I know what the test he's going to do. It's a weird test and it might throw him off. He's going to go to the grocery store with him and they're going to pick out some stuff. We're going to see if he the offensive coordinator puts the cart back. Load up the cart, the final see if he does. Check. That's it. And then you're in. That's like the final hiring move.
He hires a private investigator. He's sitting in his car. He's got his goggles on.
Just watching him go to the grocery store every time.
Didn't put it back.
Nope.
Checks it off.
Radios in. That's going to be a negative old.
Not the guy.
Yeah. Not him.
The egg is not in the nest. Repeat, the egg is not in the nest.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Well, looking at the other press conference, we were talking about Tom Telesco, and he had this on the defense. He said, the positive is that I thought we played well in the stretch. I think he might have meant trench. I think you saw what the defense can get to. That was with an interior defensive line that really played well down the stretch, but it wasn't what our vision was going to be for what the inside was going to look like. Our vision on the edge didn't quite get there because Joey Bosa was hurt most of the year. I thought our secondary played really well. I thought we gave up some explosive plays. We have to fix that. We were competitive on the football. My expectation is that when we hit training camp, we're going to hit the ground running this year. I did feel last year with that many new faces on defense that there would be a transition period. It was going to take some time. It took a little longer into the season than I would have liked. For whatever reason, we had some guys down, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We saw it towards the end, what it can get to. I just think this offseason, once we hit training camp, we should hopefully hit the ground running with that group.
It's a good point. It's an interesting idea, like that, because you clearly saw the defense get better later into the season.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget that a lot of these guys hadn't played together before. So I think that's an interesting observation.
Yeah, I think it's something you would have liked for the team to get all the issues ironed out in the off season. So that way, once the season starts, hey, we're already a team. We already know what we should be doing. Let's go. But I think there is a difference between off-season practice and actually playing a game together and actually instituting some of those things that you learned in the off-season with a lot of these new faces. So, yeah, I think the potential for the defense to be amazing. We saw flashes of that, and they can be really exciting to see if we can accomplish that during this offseason. And that includes, like we talked about, bringing back some guys like Kyle Van Noy and Drew Tranquil, those leadership roles. If you can bring those guys back, then there should be no reason why they couldn't hit the ground running like Tom Telesco wants.
Totally.
And then on what quarterback Justin Herbert means to the organization, Telesco says, I sleep better at night knowing we have a franchise quarterback that's number one. He's done so much already in his young career, yet we all know there's still a lot there because of his commitment to the game. He's a perfectionist and how much he does in preparation for his job. What I've been around, all the great quarterbacks have that. As far as what they do in the building to prepare for the next opponent and the amount of work into it, then combine that with his physical ability. We're extremely lucky to have him. We're going to just kind of keep building around him, build him a defense to get him the ball back and go from there. Makes sense.
Build them a better offensive line too. That'd be cool if you want, maybe.
Well,
If you want.
I mean, yeah. He did that, getting Corey Linsley,
Thank
drafting
God for
Rashawn
Corey,
Slater,
Yeah.
Drafting Jamari Salyer. That was what a hit that was.
It's true.
So, I mean, he's making the efforts. Everything's happening. It's just there's a few more pieces that if they could just solidify that offensive line to give him the time and not only solidify it. What's that?
We have to be able to run the football.
Got to be able to run the ball, and the guy's got to stay healthy too. I mean, not having Rashawn Slater for the bulk of the year, that hurt. That was a big problem. But hey, it's the offseason now.
You have to run the football. You saw Brock Purdy now in the NFC Championship because they can run the football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just makes everything so much easier. We were the 31st ranked rushing offense.
Not going to cut
Something
it.
along those lines. It's like, come on. You can't be good at football when you do that.
Do you attribute that to the offensive line?
Both the offensive line and I think a lot of it was play calling.
Yeah.
We were just running the wrong plays.
Yeah.
We're not built to do those zone slow tosses and outside zone plays. We're not built for that. So I think a little bit of the offensive line, I guess. Jamari Salyer played good, but he's still a rookie.
Right.
That's more designed to play guard. Filer had a down year. Lindsey was hurt most of the year. Zion, although he played good, also a rookie. And then Trey Pipkins, again, like it was a very mediocre offensive line. They did the job, but there was not like
There's no consistency.
we're going to come beat the crap out of you and just grind you down until now we can have our way in the second half.
Totally.
Right. Yeah. Having a guy like Austin Eckler have back-to-back years of 20 touchdowns, like the guy obviously has the ability to do the run. It's just, I think, like you said, it's play calling. I think having a new offensive coordinator in there to call the right plays could be all the difference in the world for that.
And some people are saying, go get a running back in the first round. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, no, we don't need to do that.
Not.
We don't need to do that. You need to help the guys that we currently have on the roster. And the guy that had 18 touchdowns in the regular season, like fully capable of doing everything we want. We just need to call the right plays and have the right bodies in front of him. You know what I mean?
100%. Well, if you want the right videos to watch, you can go on over to patreon.com/ChargerChat. Hey, I work with what you give me.
I didn't set you up for success on that one.
Anything under a 10 is our fault.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a team effort here.
Blame myself.
And we've got some new names to shout out for new patrons over at our Patreon. That's and I apologize beforehand. Ryan, Iago Marcino, Linda Chavez, and MJ. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Welcome
guys
to the party,
for coming over
pals.
to the Patreon. We've got a lot of fun videos planned for the off season, so it should be a good time over there at Patreon. And if you don't want to go over there, that's all right. You can go on over to our website, chargerchat.com. Check out all the cool stuff we got over there, t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers. You can chat it up with other Charger Chatteteers in our member section and ask questions and Ask Boltfam. So go check out chargerchat.com. All right, time to go on to the next segment. It is Fan Focus. First Fan Focus of the off season. Let's go.
All right, guys, we're back with another Fan Focus, and we are super lucky to have Barnaby from Ventura. What is going on, my friend?
Oh, yeah.
I love it, dude. I love it.
I wanted to get that out of the way because I've always wanted to do that on your podcast. So shout out to Craig, man.
I love it. Oh, yeah.
Can I actually just say one thing about Craig that I love, man?
Of course.
So I love like his subtle way of just talking smack, especially about the Raiders. And then he also just like the music in the background, man. It just makes me smile every time. So
I know we're lucky. We're lucky to have him. He's the best.
Yeah.
So
you guys got to get him on all the gear, man. You gotta hook it up.
We're working on it. But so let's kick this off the way we always do it, man. How did you become a Charger fan?
Yeah. So what's interesting about me, I grew up in Los Angeles. So, fragmented fan base for sure. But what's interesting about my story is I never really actually became a fan of football until my early 20s. So I went to City College in Santa Barbara. I transferred down to San Diego State. So go Aztecs.
Yep. Let's go.
I met a bunch of native San Diegan, diehard Charger fans that were just basically trying to recruit me from the start. So this is really funny because it was 1998 when I transferred down to San Diego State.
Nice.
And a few of my buddies that I still talk to, I'll never forget because they were, asking me, hey, who's your team? Who's your team? And I'd say, I don't really have a team. I don't watch football that much. And they basically were like, dude, you got to be a Chargers fan because right now, and I hear this every year, right now is the best time to be a Chargers fan.
Get in when it's hot, man. Let's go.
Okay, why? Because we got this guy Ryan Leaf in the draft, and we were supposed to get, we're like the Colts were supposed to take him, but the Colts were idiots and they took this guy Peyton Manning, and we got the best quarterback in the draft. I'll never forget this speech that I got from everybody.
Oh my God!
For all the people, man, who are new fans or like weren't watching at the time or just too young, Ryan Leaf threw more interceptions than touchdown passes in his career. So just to put that into perspective, right?
Definitely a different time.
Imagine if Justin Herbert threw more interceptions than touchdown passes this season. I mean, people would be going level 5 nuts.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank God that doesn't exist. We're lucky to have a really stud quarterback.
For sure. But I'll tell you, I started going to the games. I love going to Qualcomm, AKA Jack Murphy Stadium, AKA the Q. I loved the tailgate parties. The atmosphere was so much fun. And I just fell in love with the uniforms. Junior Seau was unbelievable back in the day. I mean, even though we had, in the year 2000, we had a 1-in-15 season. He was still going 180 miles per hour out there. So I grew a lot of respect for him. And I just enjoyed going to the games. And then we all know in the early 2000s, they turned things around with LT, Drew Brees, Antonio Gates, Quentin Jammer, you name it. So totally. That became a really fun time for, Chargers football.
Yeah, I kind of forget that Junior was on those really rough late 90s teams because that was my entrance. Like watching him play and like his like celebrations and just say out energy was next level. Yeah. So that's funny. I totally forgot that aspect of it.
Well, do you remember Ryan Leaf like really lost it when there was a news reporter
in the locker room? Yeah. And
like Junior Seau, came over. And
he saved the day. That's right.
Grabbed him. He's like, chill out, young guy.
Yeah.
But obviously we know Ryan Leaf in hindsight was, dealing with a lot of demons and, wasn't prepared for what he was up against. And he's doing really well now. So that's great. But man, it was a train wreck back in the day.
Yeah. Those, your buddies were way off. But it took a little while, but
sometimes, sometimes when people complain about, the current state of the Chargers, I always say to him, listen, man, in like the 2000 season, we were 1-15. Yeah. Okay. It was painful. saying that you were a Chargers fan back then.
No, for sure. And it's, hey, we're 2 winning seasons with Coach Staley, and people are calling for his head. I just like winning seasons. I'm just glad to be back, and they're consistent. And it seems like there's like an upward trajectory with Coach and what he's trying to do. So obviously that season didn't end the way we wanted it to. And it was really a bummer the way it went down, and one half of football kind of crushed us. What were your kind of feelings when the game was over, and kind of, how did you get out of whatever funk you were in, and then what are you kind of looking forward to, this off season?
For me, it was just pure exhilaration the first half.
Oh yeah.
I was so blown away with Asante getting 3 interceptions. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I thought there's absolutely no way that we're losing this game. We're up 27. All we really need to do is just get one more touchdown in the second half. I had a little bit of a nervous feeling when they scored right before the half.
Yeah.
But again, I was very confident, like, okay, we got this handled. It was shock, man. It was just like total shock. And then it turned into, this is what we do, man. Like, this is what happens to the Chargers. It's so frustrating. One thing that Staley said that he was wrong about in his end of the year press conference, he said, I'm not going to subscribe to people saying that this is, the Chargers charging up, because what he doesn't understand the history is we've always had great teams. We've always been able to make the postseason, but we find these incredible ways to lose, right? Whether it's Nate Ketting missing those field goals, and Nate Ketting hit everything, man. The regular season.
Yeah, he was money.
It's everything in the post. It's like, what?
Wasn't it against Rex Ryan Jets team? I think that was the game. It was just like, oh my God. I remember having a Jets friend, and he was so annoying. I still remember that guy to this day. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, we can sit here probably the entire interview and think of ways that we have just come up with creative, new, devastating ways to lose.
Yeah.
So I wasn't necessarily so shocked by it because it's happened before. And I think from there, I just literally had to decompress for a little bit by myself and then remind myself, listen, this is my team. I am going to support this team no matter what, right? I did not think that we were going to advance past the Chiefs or the Bills or the Bengals because Mike Williams was basically out. Right. So I didn't think that we could go on a Super Bowl run without him. I think we needed Mike Williams anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the difference if we lose right now or in the next week in Kansas City? Because I don't think we could have beat the Chiefs. I really don't. But as I was watching that game, Mahomes, man, he really sprained his ankle and was hobbling around. And I'm like, damn, maybe Bosa and Khalil could have just taken him out and we could have won this game. But woulda, coulda, shoulda, it ended. And then just like the brisket broads always post, hey, man, football's fun. At the end of the day, this is a game. We're just really, it's a passion because I enjoy watching it. If we don't win the Super Bowl this year, let's get it next year.
Yeah.
So get over it.
You get over it. For me, I literally timed it. I was like, okay, when did I start falling apart? And when did I could get my mind off of it? And it was 49 hours. Is the exact amount of time I needed to brush it off and move on. So everyone does it differently, but we're in the off season now. We're going to have to figure out what this is. We're interviewing head offensive coordinators because we got to replace a offensive coordinator and a QB coach. So, what do you want to see this team do to get better on offense?
So the thing that always really drives me crazy, and I saw this a lot with Anthony Lynn, is sometimes coaches come in and they say, listen, here's what I'm going to do. And they don't really think about the players that we have or the strengths or weaknesses that we have. So Anthony Lynn, he wanted to run the ball, right? He wanted to run it when our running game was not our strength. For me, what I want to see, and I think Lombardi really lacked in this area too, is what's our advantage, right? What does Bill Belichick do? He always looks for advantages and disadvantages, and then he doubles down on that. So he tries to take away another team's strength, like Keenan Allen is always his favorite defensive target. So I want an offensive coordinator that's going to come in and say, listen, Justin Herbert is a freak of nature in the sense that he can roll out of the pocket, he can throw 40, 50, 60-yard bombs, and he is smart enough and quick enough to basically look at the entire field. Now, how do we use that to our advantage? because the check downs, man, I wanted to vomit every time I saw a check down.
There's a lot.
I felt like at least 60 to 80% of our offensive plays were check downs. I don't know what the number is, but man, it was way too many.
There's a lot.
And it's just like, come on, unleash the beast, man. So I think this also kind of goes in play with Telesco needs to go out there and find some speed, because we do need somebody like Tyreek Hill on our team. Imagine if we had Tyreek right now. And I honestly, man, shook my head when I heard both Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco go, speed isn't that big a deal. What? Mind blown. I'm sorry, man. I disagree with what they said, because if you add speed, not only do people have to respect who's running down the field, but it opens up the run game, right? Because now you're spreading the floor a little bit. So to me, it's really important for one, we got to get more speed at the wide receiver position. And then two is we got to find a coordinator who can understand that he has Justin Herbert, who is not like any other quarterback in the league. This guy has an arm. He can throw some serious bombs. I want to see 40, 50-yard attempts every quarter.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, we got. I agree with the speed thing, but it's also, you don't want to do the Raiders thing where you go out with the stopwatch and you pick the fastest guy. We got to get a guy that can work and be is a good football player, not just fast. So I'm with you on that. Well, I'm excited to see what this draft is going to be, because there's so many different ways they could go.
Listen, anything that we don't want to do what the Raiders do is like automatic, right?
Just do the opposite of what the Raiders do. Yeah, just the opposite of whatever they're doing, do the other thing. It will be successful.
FDR, man. And we were talking earlier, man, like I grew up in Los Angeles. Most of my friends are all Raiders fans, so I never hear the end of it from those guys. So yeah, I definitely can't stand the Raiders, and I don't want to replicate anything those guys do. I love seeing them just have a really, really tough season. Yeah. And, hasta la vista, Derek Carr.
I know. It's amazing. I'm curious what they're going to do, too.
Yeah, send him to a horrible team. Send him to the Browns or something. I don't know.
Texans would be great. I'd love Texans, to see him on the Texans. That'd be awesome. So let's get you out of here on this, brother. Your best Charger memory. What is something that really stands out to you from all your years of being a Charger fan?
That's such a hard question to answer. I've heard you ask this before, so I'll give you two, because I've thought about two specific ones. One, I don't think I've ever enjoyed a Charger game more than actually watching Phillip Rivers in the AFC Championship game against the Patriots. That game, man, where he's hobbling around on a torn ACL, and he was a hero, man. Like, you probably see my hat. I got the Phillip Rivers signed helmet. People talk so trash about Phillip Rivers. I'm like, get out of my house, man. I know. You are not welcome.
That's my guy, dude. That's my guy.
Yeah, dude. I don't care if he didn't win one. Okay, if we had good kickers and good defense and good coaching, we would have won one with him. Anyway, I digress. I love that game. I was hopping off my couch. I was fist pumping the whole time. The second one, so I was born in New York. Most of my family, they're either Giants or Jets fans. And so I bought tickets last season to the Giants game. And I like to sit as low as I can behind the field goal post. And I had like first row, right behind the field goal post. And watching the play, I thought
the Guyton was at the Guyton pass.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, right, I was surrounded by Giants fans that were talking trash to me the whole time, right? They were saying that Herbert's not a top 5 quarterback. I said, stop smoking, because you guys don't even have a quarterback you can even brag about. Right. Yeah. So I'm back and forth with these guys. All of a sudden, Justin comes out of that pocket and just in the air like a freaking NASA shuttle. And I'll never forget, man, I stood up, I grabbed my dad, right? I took my dad, and my dad had literally just got, he was dealing with dialysis because he had a bad kidney. He just had a kidney transplant and is doing well, thank God.
Good.
But at the time, he was going through dialysis, so he was pretty weak. So it was a real journey for him to get, from the parking to the SoFi down to the bottom level. So he manned up, went to the game with me. We're watching the Giants, and that pass, man, we both grabbed each other and we're like standing up. And at the very bottom of my eyesight, I see Guyton, and I yelled out, Guyton! Completion. And when he stood up, literally Jalen just looked right in our direction, and my dad and I were like, "Can you believe?" That was the greatest pass in history I think I've ever seen in person. I mean, unbelievable. And I just high-fived my dad so hard, and we got the best view of that coming straight at us. So
That's so
to me,
badass.
that was like, I'll never forget that. It was the greatest throw, man, in NFL history. I'm convinced.
I love it. Yeah, it's people talk about that. People talk about wins and all this stuff, but people keep coming back to this one throw in this one game against a team that wasn't very good, but it was so magnificent and showed what this guy can do. It was like okay, he's here. This was like the I'm here throw.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's why I say get a coordinator that's not afraid to get him out of the pocket. He's going to run more. He's going to throw those 40, 50, 60-yard bombs because Herbert can do that, and I don't think anyone else in the league can do it as good as him. So we got to take advantage of that now.
Love it. Well, hopefully we'll find out pretty quick who the new OC is, and we'll get rolling, man. Yeah. So, Barnaby, it was such a pleasure meeting you, man. Love your energy.
Yeah,
this was awesome. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man, I love your podcast, and what you guys do is so great, man. It keeps me occupied when I'm driving all around Ventura, LA, and Santa Barbara. So thank you guys for doing what you do.
Means a lot, man. We really appreciate it. And let's stay in touch, and let's have a good offseason, man. Let's get stronger.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
Bolt up.
Talk to you later. Bolt up.
Well, what a fan focus to start off this off season. Barnaby, thank you so much. Yeah, giving Craig some love, giving him some that's so cool. And you got the hoodie on, you got the Phillip Rivers hat, you got the signed Justin Herbert jersey.
He's a guy. He's a Charger Jack.
He's the man, dude. He's
the man
guy. Yeah.
I love it, dude.
He's super fun. He's a diehard, and he lives up in Ventura. He's just a really cool guy. So, I'd love to go to a game with him. That's for sure. Because that would be a good time.
Yeah. Well, he's clearly a good luck charm with Jalen Guyton catching that pass, man. Like, what a place to be to witness a historical catch like that. That was pretty awesome. So, Barnaby, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with Kev.
Thanks,
again.
bro.
Great fan focus to start the off season. Now let's move it on to the guy that Barnaby was just talking about here. You know him, you love him. It's the Craig Experience.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Come on in, man. Kick your feet up.
Oh,
Craig Experience.
hello there.
Make yourself at home. Got some stuff to talk about, right? Moving on. Hey, everybody. It's been over a week now. Had some time to digest the end of the Chargers season. Was not pretty, but it was one hell of a ride. So, gotta appreciate that. Never a dull moment with this team. But here I am. I've returned with our first off-season edition of the Experience. I figure why not just take this time out to give my recap of the season, the way I saw it through these 4 eyes. Nothing long and drawn out, little synopsis, just a quick and dirty. How would I label the Chargers 2022 season? A little tumultuous. You look at it from some of the major themes, injuries. We're accustomed to that as Chargers fans, right? We've had more than our fair share of back-breaking. That's probably not the best term to use. Sorry, Mike Williams. Just heartbreaking situations and losses of guys on the team that were huge contributors, and it's almost always the stars. The football gods are very rarely kind to this team when it comes to injury luck. But, of course, it had a huge bearing on the season, although teams still finished with double-digit wins through it all. Found their stride a little bit towards the end of the season. There are certain key factors that played into that. But outside of that, from a performance standpoint, saw a lot of the guys that we're used to doing their thing offensively. 10 is 10. 30 Ways handled his business once again. Still don't know why that dude can't make a Pro Bowl. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, in the sparse times that we did see them on the field, did what they do. Gerald Everett, big plays. And, overall, there were some very good things. Defensively, again, didn't get to see what Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa looked like for a season across from each other. But you had some guys that stood out and maybe earned themselves some new contracts. Hopefully they get to stick around, like a Mr. Morgan Fox. He was an unsung hero. Alohi Gilman showed a lot of growth. Saw some spurts there when Derwin was out. He came in and filled in quite admirably. Was a pretty significant contributor. And you saw what that playoff game looked like. Who got the start? Wasn't Nasir Adderley. So kind of gives you an idea of how his future with the Chargers looks like it's going to go or end, potentially. But, Derwin out there doing Trey Bien things when he was on the field. We didn't get to see J.C. Jackson really hardly at all. And some of the offseason pickups, Sebastian Joseph Day was definitely a key cog in the middle of the defense. And Big Fade, Braden Fajoko, got the opportunity to be a regular starter, which is what a lot of us had been clamoring for a while. Let's look past the circumstances in which it had to happen and just be happy that it did, because moving forward, I think he will be a nice piece in that defensive front. Next year when the guys are back healthy and firing on all cylinders, God willing, we have much better injury luck. I'm going to have some pretty solid depth up front, I believe. Special teams was actually special this year. Finished in the top 10, I think. What were they ranked overall? Somewhere in the 5 to 7 range, something like that. So Ryan Ficken, huge addition to the coaching staff. Good on you, sir. We appreciate you having you here. And Dicker the kicker provided some real excitement there. I think he only missed 2 kicks this year, but that guy's had one hell of a ride. He's actually from right here in Austin. He went to UT, so I saw him perform in college, and it's really cool experience to get to see him play for my favorite professional team. So while there were some big standouts, there were some questions, some questionable coaching decisions. It's not perfect, clearly. First round exit. We're not even going to talk about the game in any detail because nobody wants to relive that nightmare. But, Brandon Staley, a little bit of a bumpy road, more questionable choices, and I know a lot of folks out there wanted his head. But, could have told you, and I think I warned some of you guys, it is not the Chargers' modus operandi to clip coaches while there's still a significant amount of time left on their contracts. Unless the team completely got flipped upside down, I'm talking like horrible losing record, there was no way Staley was going to get the axe. And we did see a certain somebody who was let go of, or a few certain somebodies. But there's no more Joe Lombardi. The bad man is gone. And I know a lot of us are happy about that. Of course, no one wants to or should be cheering a person losing their job. Everyone needs to make a living. They have families and want to cheer for that person to be successful and continue moving forward in life. Their well-being matters. So let's not be those types of people, but just not the right fit for the Chargers. And I think it became painfully obvious throughout the year. And some of that had to do with play calling. Some of it had to do with personnel. There's enough blame to go around. But Joe, hopefully wherever you end up, you land on your feet. Got a weird feeling somehow he's going to be back with Sean Payton somewhere at some point. But who knows? Shane Day, which threw me off a little bit just because of the type of coach that Brandon Staley is looking for in regards to the offensive scheme moving forward. Someone from the Shanahan tree, and Mr. Day came from the Niners. seemed like it made sense, but who knows what level of progression he had in his tenure and what he actually brought to the table for Justin. So there were a couple other moves made. Mr. Will Hoyt on the defensive side. Kind of feel like I have a general idea of why that might have happened. May have been some development issues with one particular linebacker who played much better this season in spurts, but maybe didn't have the type of leap that they're looking for a first round draft pick that you traded up for to get. But we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. These are all just assumptions. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, pretty tumultuous year. I mean, there were the ups, the downs. When it was good, it was great, man. When it was bad, it was the crapper. But here's what we have to look forward to, and maybe a little something to rejoice about. Seems like the Chargers are doing their due diligence when looking for a new offensive coordinator to help our boy Herbert, and hopefully whoever comes in will help to establish something that I've been clamoring for, because me, yes, my old school self, am a purist when it comes to football, and I believe in building through the trenches on both sides of the ball, playing fantastic defense, and establishing a solid run game. I know it's a passing league now, but there's always a time and place for a great running game, especially in the postseason when you have to travel on the road. Hell, even when you're not on the road and you're at home and you get steamrolled by a visiting opponent who has a really good running back and figured out that it was necessary to win the game in some snow. Dang, Bills, man. Sucks for y'all. Anyway, but yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for this team to grow with some adjustments in the scheme. Another year under Staley's belt. Hopefully there's some lessons learned there moving forward. Makes him a better coach. Get a new, innovative offensive mind in. Personally, to me, it doesn't have to be an innovator. It could be someone with some tenure, even someone who used to coach for the team, call plays. I'm not going to throw many names out there because I don't want to have to try to play favorites. I'm going to try to be an open book about this because I ultimately just want the team to be better. I want the product on the field to reflect all the hype off of it. And I know a lot of us are still feeling sour. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm in a weird place because I love my team. I just want to see it work on the field, right? I'm like the rest of y'all. And I'm sure as the weeks and months move on and we get into draft season, the hype will get back to a fever pitch, because y'all know I love draft season. You know I like looking at prospects and looking at guys that I feel like that would be really great for the Chargers. The worst part about it is a lot of those guys have a tendency to go to division rivals and end up having to cheer against them, and I'm super conflicted because I got this attachment to them. I'll try not to do that this year. But yes, looking on down the road, time to start doing some research, looking at what I personally think will help fill some holes on this team roster-wise, and hopefully the front office is looking at this too, building some quality depth for some, of course, inevitable injuries that will come. It's football, it happens, and if anyone knows that, Chargers fans do. But again, could be much worse. Much, much worse. You could not have a franchise quarterback. You could be, I'm not going to crap on any teams, man. You know, I'm going to try to be less trolly this offseason. It's going to be hard. I'm going to try. But the team has a lot of top level pieces, man. They just have to build around it. And hopefully the focus really is to make an offense that complements Jay Herbo, because the kid shouldn't have to do it all on his own. No quarterback should. Team game. And I think he'll be better for it. Some new contributors next year, some guys that maybe weren't as much in the fold this season, find themselves in roles that are to the point where we believe they should be. So, that's it from me. hell of a year. I'm not going anywhere. Still be here. As we kind of move along into the off season, there'll be more to cheer for, more to be happy about. But until then, I will have to watch the remainder of the playoffs and the Super Bowl because I love football with a little bit of hate in my heart about it. Because as much as I enjoy the sport, it's much better when the Chargers are a part of things. So, that is it for me. Thank you guys for joining me here in this free therapy session. My office hours are, no, I'm just joking. But till the next time, man, y'all know who it is. Mr. Bullganger Do Not Bang, a.k.a. TOP_FLYT3 over on Twitter. And get charged to the game going a little bit more this offseason. Try to build on that. It's been a wacky year, man, time-wise. But I'm going to recommit to that, so be on the lookout. But like I said before, appreciate y'all. Thanks for sticking it out through the year, through the good and the bad. You guys, of course, thank you. And to the rest of the squad, man. Rest of the boat gang. Love y'all. Catch y'all on the next one. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Well, thank you, Craig, for starting the off season off right, man. Yeah, right. We're with you, dude. Like, hey, it's an exciting time right now. Yes, there were ups and downs. Yes, there were questionable decisions that occurred, but
we're not going anywhere.
Man, not going anywhere, folks.
No.
Sorry.
Time for homework. Let's study up on who we got next.
That's right. Like Craig is our guy when it comes to
the draft,
what players we should draft or who we should look at. I defer to Craig. So
me too.
Looking forward to see what players you talk about here, Craig, and what guys we can potentially look forward to when it comes to draft day. So, Greg, again, thank you, man, as always.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, dude.
And now it's time to go on to the next segment, Ask Boltfam. Let's see how many people are feeling good right now or
let's go.
Healed enough to ask a question. So let's go.
Time to put your money where your mouth is.
Hi, guys. Don't jam a thumb up his butthole. That's what you do. I wet myself in excitement.
Oh, so hungry.
Your thoughts are like totally appreciated.
Catch you later, dude.
Okay, love you, boy.
That's right, folks. Time for Ask Bolt Fam. First one of the off season. We started off with Hangry Seth.
Hangry.
Who asked the question.
Arriba, arriba. I got a speedy question for you, amigos. Which backup QB will stay or will both leave? Arriba, arriba. Till next time, FTR.
Oh, Speedy.
Speedy.
We talked about it a little earlier. I think it's going to be Easton Stick will stay. I think there's got to be some kind of consistency for Justin, not like a whole new quarterback coach, a whole new offensive coordinator, 2 brand new quarterbacks sitting in the room with him. Like, I think you keep one of them, and I think it makes more sense to keep Easton Stick at this point, especially with Lombardi departing.
At least keep the QB room consistent.
A little bit, yeah. At least somebody can show up to work and be like, "What's up? Hey, I remember you.
I remember you. Hey,
I'm
going to sit next to you.
We had some good times. Remember that? Remember that?
How was your summer vacation?
Yeah, yeah."
I mean,
who? Which one did you say, Kevin?
Easton Stick.
Easton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easton would probably be the most financially sound quarterback to get. But I mean, what is the real negative to not bringing Easton back either and just drafting a quarterback?
Late round guy.
Yeah.
You're basically getting another version of him who hasn't been with Justin his whole career, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking. Like, is the backup quarterback, like, is that really somebody that like helps Herbert, or are they more just like the break the glass quarterback that, like, if just, God forbid something happens to your starting quarterback, like, okay, well, we got another guy back here. Like, what do they bring to the table?
The last 2 years since Justin was so young, I do think they help you a lot. Like breaking down film, even just like where to get treatment and like what to do on your off days. I think that those guys can offer a lot. Now that he's a little bit more seasoned in the league going into year 4, I think it's a guy that he likes to hang out with, that he gets along with in the QB room, and they travel together. Like, they're around each other a ton. So a guy that can get the job done when he's called upon, but also I think there is something to say about Justin, like, getting along with the guy.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, hey, if whatever helps Justin, I am all for. So if that means keeping Easton Stick, throw the guy a contract and call it a day. So, all right. Hangry Seth, thank you for asking the question. Moving on now to Harith.
Certified Fresh.
Who asked the question? Oh, geez, Rick. Who's one player you would cut and who's one player you would resign ASAP? Oh.
So is this guys that have contracts, or are these like, can we use unrestricted free? We can't use free agents.
I would take it as cutting a guy is under contract.
Okay.
Not re-signing as a guy that's
Yeah.
I'm cutting Trey McKitty and overhauling our entire tight end room. Because he was brought in to be a blocking tight end, and he not that amazing at it either. That's a bummer draft pick that we spent on him, but he just hasn't come to fruition yet. So that would be the cut, my first cut.
I think looking at the cap and looking at the way the guy has kind of trended, I think Matt Filer, I would be okay with saving the money on that contract and bumping Jamari down to that left guard spot and being pretty confident in his career as a guard. And a guy I want to re-sign ASAP is Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
For personal reasons.
Because he's your friend.
Yeah, he's my friend. So
I don't know. I think there's something about Drew Tranquil, dude. He was also a leader in there, younger guy.
For sure.
So
that's not somebody I wouldn't want. Also, my first pick is just Kyle Van Noy.
Right. He asked for one player. Kyle Van Noy is the one player.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
What about
I can't think of who to cut. And the only one, I say this because we didn't get to see it from this year, and I don't know what the ramifications are. So when I say this name, don't go like, but Adam Woldog.
Adam.
He's gotta.
It's
gotta affect that. I know.
Real
That's
name.
what Adam. He used his full name.
James.
and I also say this, respectfully, because the guy got injured. Is JC Jackson. That's the only one that I say that, like, okay, we threw a ton of money at this guy.
You could get all your money
production
back.
If that's the case, I don't know that that's the case. I know guys have guaranteed money, so I don't know how much he's guaranteed. I don't know what that does to the cap. So that could be the worst answer in the world. And again, I hate saying it to a guy that just got injured, and we didn't get a chance to see him play after giving him his big contract, but maybe cutting him. And then I would agree with Kyle Van Noy. I think that the amount of sacks that guy had a sack every game in the last 5 games of the season. So,
well, but the question is, like, we love Kyle. I love Kyle. We all love Kyle, but
I love Lamb.
There are guys here that are starters that Kyle Van Noy, not necessarily a starter once all our guys are healthy. Do you know what I mean? Like, is there a guy you really want back that would step in and be like right away, like number one on the field for like 90% of the plays? Does that make a difference to you, or are you still going with your boy?
I don't think we have any of those guys.
You don't think Drew is?
Well, dude, honestly, with the way that we treated Kaiser White last year, I just don't have any confidence that we're going to pay a linebacker money.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Wow, good point.
Kaiser had a
way to open that
year.
Old wound.
Yeah.
He had a career year. The Eagles offered him barely anything, and we clearly offered him nothing. So it's just not a position that we value whatsoever, is that middle linebacker spot. We figure we can get it in the draft or just kind of continue to develop the guys behind whoever we have. So, yeah, like I said, I want Drew Tranquil back for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to pick one to re-sign right now, I would like Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
I think we need depth at the pass rushing position.
Yeah,
totally.
Right. And
see what
Kyle
happens when we don't have.
Kyle was originally picked up to be a middle. Like all of the offseason in like practice, he was playing middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everyone got hurt and they had to bump him out. So he also has that versatility to play on the inside and the outside.
There you go.
He has the leadership. Yeah, that's just the guy that I would want first.
All right. Well, there you go. Harith. Thank you for asking the question.
It's better when you say it with a lisp. Harith.
Hey, it's Harith 10.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking the question. Let's move on now to Juan Gomez 69.
Nice. Fresh.
Who asked the question? What'll happen to Storm Norton next year? Oh dear.
Oh, you're gonna kill him?
Oh God.
No, not kill him.
He's gonna cut
These
him.
are scissors. I had a prop, but I had to use it. It was right there looking at me.
That's perfect. I'm glad you had him so close by.
He's a free agent, isn't he? Unrestricted free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he's just gonna walk. You know, you don't have to really cut him. You can just let him walk.
Yeah, you don't have to be so scary.
Walk.
Yeah.
Walk out of here. Walk out of the building.
Yeah. Considering that we put Foster Sorrell in before we put Storm Norton in.
Yeah. Storm didn't play much after they decided to go with at the very beginning of the year. They kind of he's done.
So great name,
which is crazy that he was our starting right tackle last year.
I know.
That's what we lost that Raider game at the end of the season. He was like one of the sole reasons why that fell apart, and there's no protection for Justin.
Boy, we are opening a lot of old wounds in this episode.
Feeling fresh.
That's what fandom is. You always go back and relive the pain.
Remember this one? Remember this? It feels so good. Go team. Yeah. So there you go. Juan Gomez. Thank you for asking the question. Moving on now to Coffee of the Morning, and shout out to Zool420 going with Coffee of the Morning.
Certified fresh.
Who asked the question?
Certified.
Gun to your head. Speedy, shifty receiver, stud tight end, or stud edge in the first round.
I think you're getting the number one tight end at 21. I think once that's the thing. It's tough when you're that far back in the draft. Like, stud edge, the top probably 3 edge rushers, 2 edge rushers are off the table, and probably the better shifty receivers. I think you're getting the best of the best tight ends at 21, and that's also a position that blocks, and we need more of that. That's for me. I'll take the stud tight end.
It's a good argument.
Dog, what do you think?
I mean, I would have leaned towards speedy, shifty receiver. I feel like Justin Herbert can throw it down the field, and we need somebody that can be there to catch the ball when he's chucking it down the field. So I mean, I would have said that had I not, talked to you guys earlier and had you made the arguments for getting a stud tight end. I don't know if we asked too much of Gerald Everett, as far as like having a team that was as banged up as we were, that should the guys be healthy, that Gerald Everett can be better protected. I mean, the guy still had, I think he had the most receptions of his career this last season. Yep. So
most touchdowns too.
And touchdowns. So,
but is that a product to him, or is that a product to Justin? Like, if you get a really stud tight end in here, can you improve those numbers? Are we gonna have a better run game? Those are questions. But
absolutely. So
Everett's not going anywhere either. He's on this roster right now, unless they do something with him.
Right. Well, that could be a guy that you could talk about cutting if you wanted to cut somebody.
Yeah.
So I would, now having talked to you guys, I would say stud tight end, but if the stud tight end wasn't there, I would say speedy, shifty receiver and an edge in the first round. I mean, I know that, I don't know, there could be arguments made for all 3 of these positions. So I feel like on the offensive side, those are the 2 areas that we need to give Herbert some more help.
I just want to I want a Gates. I know we're not going to find a Gates, but I want a Kelsey.
You want Hunter Henry back.
I want a Kelsey.
I know Hunter Henry would have been
we made a terrible decision letting Hunter Henry walk. Just so bad. But yeah, I would take a stud tight end at 21.
Don't you
I think you're right, Kev. I just think you're going to get, that's the best value you're going to get at 21 is that stud. Probably number 1. Like, we got Hunter Henry at the top of the second.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of where those guys are going. I would love to have the guy of the next 5-6 years at tight end.
We just need to be careful, because this is also the kind of area where we picked, you know his name. He's a Raider now. This is that kind of range where you're like, you hit or miss.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feel me?
He will not be named.
He will not be named.
Who shall not be named.
Yeah.
All right. Coffee of the Morning and Zool420. Thank you guys for asking the question. Let's move on now to Shitting Out Posts.
Certified fresh.
Who asked the question?
Can we please focus on our offensive and defensive lines this offseason? Hoo-ha. Games are won up front, and I think it's safe to say we all learned the importance of running the ball to close out fourth quarters. Are you with me? Hoo-ha.
100,000% with you.
Yes.
Shitting out posts.
Great
Could not
name,
be
by the
a
way.
more alignment with
Always.
you.
That's what I always want to address is both lines consistently. Like just make sure that those are solid and then get to the rest later.
Mm-hmm.
That just needs to be first priority.
Yeah.
Keep Justin safe. That's what we need. Give him give him another second and a half. You have one of these guys that's not top in speed, can get where you need it to go, get him down the field a little further. You know what I mean? Like start with the offensive line. Don't put, the cart before the horse. You know what I mean? The horse is the offensive line. Let's get him up front, set him up, get him all the bells and whistles, the good harnesses, all the stuff he needs to lead us. And we need a good offensive line. It's just a fact. And we have a good one. We've drafted back-to-back offensive linemen in the first round.
Well, yeah.
Keep it going.
Keep it going.
So that being
and we drafted a stud in the 5th.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like given our position, we're drafting 21st in the draft, stud tight end first round, lineman second. Is that the idea?
Yeah, you could probably get an interior defensive lineman at 21 too if there's a stud there.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be able to get the maybe, I don't know. It's so hard. I freaking hate the draft so much. It's like you could get a good right tackle at 21 probably.
Yeah.
It's all going to depend on who's there and how they fit into like personality wise, how they fit with the Chargers and what we're looking for. If there's somebody from Notre Dame at a good position, that's who we're drafting.
That's the tight end.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
No, but there's a part of me that whenever we're picking later in the draft, like the back half, I'm always like that second round, like, come on, let's go up. Let's just do something, package something, get up there, get, closer to that first round with one of those picks. Like, it feels like that's our team right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like we need some more like guys that are going to make an impact right away. And there's no guarantee from the third round on with Tommy T that's going to work. You look at JT Woods, he didn't play at all and he was a third round pick.
Right.
So we'll see.
We will have to wait and see shitting out posts, but thank you for asking the question.
Awesome name.
Fantastic name. Let's move it on now to Tarike.
Certified Fresh.
Is that a V or a Y?
That's an R.
No, the end.
The end. That's an R.
Tarikav. Who asked the question? Why didn't we fire our coach?
We did. We fired 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think he means
3
the
of
head
them.
coach.
I am not getting on this Fire Staley bandwagon. I'm not.
No.
I'm just not doing it. It's
so why
early.
aren't you?
It's too early to jump ship. It really is.
Yeah.
Like I still have confidence in what he's doing. He hasn't had a losing season yet. We're improving every year.
Right.
If we would have stepped back from year 1, that's when you start having that conversation.
Right.
But we didn't. We're moving up, and he dealt with so many freaking injuries last season. I want to see what he can do when we're healthy and we have better play calling on offense.
Right.
Because I really do think his defense can be freaking awesome. If he can just get these guys on the same page, they're going to be another year playing together. Hopefully a lot of them return. And I think, I don't know, I'm not ready to like start fresh with somebody new. And there's no way Sean Payton was going to come to us. There's no way Tom Telesco and this ownership was going to give up draft picks for a coach.
And pay $20 million a year for a
ever
coach.
going to happen, dude. I'm shamelessly positive, but I am very realistic in that sense of what this ownership's track record has been. And it's not been anything like that in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and the argument can be said that like, oh, well, the ownership is being cheap by not going after Sean Payton. It's like, okay, well, hang on a second. We're not talking about a coach that just had a Nathaniel Hackett type season and got fired in his first year or anything like that. We're talking about 2 winning seasons. Okay. Just barely not making the playoffs last year and punching our ticket this year, but not going very far. It's not just about winning games necessarily, although that is obviously a huge part of it, but we've talked about it before. Like, what culture is a head coach going to bring to this team? And right now, the amount of guys that have been talking about Staley, amount of players and other peers that have been talking about Staley and what it is that he's bringing to this team, it is much more than that. And so it's more of an investment into a guy that has really kind of changed how the team is considered. And I think you can't really put a price tag on that. And just going out and throwing money at another coach who had, some success with another team. It's like, hey man, Staley went 9-8, and then we went 10-7. Like, we're going in the right direction. Like, you don't fire a guy because of that. It's like, yeah, mistakes are going to be made. Mistakes are made by every team.
It's not
every year.
It's not a good investment. Like Kyle said a couple episodes ago, it's not a good investment to bail on it before it matures. Like, we're close to seeing a possible maturity from this. Don't leave yet. Don't jump ship and buy some other stock that is expensive but may not perform as high as this thing could be, you know?
Yeah, the thing that Kyle said in that last episode that made me go like, oh man, please don't, is like, if you let Staley go and he goes and is successful with another team,
head coaching somewhere else right after he's let go.
Yeah, like, I don't want that at all, to see him then be successful with another team. Like, you got to, go through some of the bumps here in the first early years, and like, hey man, it's coming. Like, it very well could have come this year and it didn't. So we're making the changes. We all saw the mistakes in the offensive coordinator position, the play calls that we were seeing. Guess what? Now it's fixed. So or at least it will be once we pick a new offensive coordinator. So, you can't do that.
Too soon.
All right. Tarkev, thank you for asking the question.
Welcome. Don't be a stranger.
Don't be a stranger. Let's move on now to Unanimous, who asked the question.
Has Staley lost your trust? And should he not be the play caller on defense and simply manage the team? He seems overwhelmed, leading to big mistakes.
Number one, no, he hasn't lost our trust. But the question of should he not be the play caller on defense and simply manage the team? What do you think about that, Kyle? When it says, when he says that, like, I'm going to call plays. Do you think that diverts his attention from other more important matters? Or do you think that, like, you know what? He knows what he wants to build with this defense. He knows the plays that he wants to call. And so, yeah, he should call the plays.
I think it can absolutely take your focus away.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably has in his first 2 years being a head coach. I think it was probably not wise in his first year to be having ever been a head coach, also be a play caller. But that, I mean, obviously just my opinion.
Yeah.
You do get lost in it because in between series, you're chatting with your assistants, you're talking to players, you're figuring out what you're going to adjust. He doesn't have that privilege, right? He has to be on the sideline watching the offense, seeing if they got to call timeout or how they want to manage this, that, and the other. Or I don't know. There's so much going on all at once that you have to hire guys that you really, really, really trust for offense and special teams, because you can't be as invested in those things. Like putting in a game plan for the defensive side of the football, not just overseeing it, but being the one that does it, that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. So I don't know. I think that there's enough that a head coach has to do that you should have a DC and an OC calling the plays. But a lot of head coaches are like control. That's why they're coaches. They like to be able to have their hands more in on what's going on. So it's clearly what he likes to do. I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get better at being able to balance the two the more he does it. So maybe that's what we'll see continue to get better here. And like that could influence his fourth down strategy, right? He's just like, I don't know, just go for it. I got too much going on right now. Figure it out.
Flip a coin.
Yeah.
I got my own problems. You go for it. All right.
I got my own problems. Oh God. Frazzled Staley.
I love that idea that's the reason he's just like, God, he's got a fire extinguisher off the side. He's like, I got my own problems. You take care of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Unanimous. Thank you for asking the question. Let's move it on now to House of Hayne.
Yeah.
Who asked the question? I say, well, dry them tears, son, and be happy that we can get a new OC that'll fix the run game and throw farther than a fart can travel past the line. I say, would you guys be up to having Frank back? Or should we go full new as in never tested OC? I say, love you, bye.
So we got to look at this in two ways. One, do we want him back? He'd probably be a good option, right? He'd be a good offensive coordinator. But you got to look at it from his point of view. He was fired by this team in 2016. Does he want to
Telesco was still the GM at the time, right?
Does he want to come back? How was that departure? Have you been fired before and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to give this another shot with the guy that just fired me? You know what I mean? Like, that's my question is if he wants to come here. Right. We'll see. I haven't seen anything about them interviewing him yet. I know he's making a whole bunch of money for the next couple seasons because they owe him. They fired him way too early and still owe him like guaranteed money.
Oh,
but well, I don't know if I would be against it, but I don't think he's coming back, dude.
Yeah, obviously the guy fired in 2016. That's 7 years now. The guy has had to obviously learn a lot more about the game and
coach for most of that time.
Head coach and had a lot of success with Phillip Rivers, had some success with Carson Wentz. I've seen that plenty. So if the opportunity was there and they interview him and he takes it, great. You know, that's, you know, he's bringing a lot more experience and knowledge that he's now gained in the time away from us. But yeah, I think it very well could. It'll be awkward for both sides. I mean, for Frank Reich to come back and Tommy T to be like, "Hey, Frank, how you been, buddy? What you been up to?
Yeah, good to see you again." Yeah. So he walks in with the middle finger up.
Yeah, like it's you know, it's not just about, you know, swallowing your pride and calling a guy up and saying like, "Hey, we'd love to have you back."
Made a mistake, but things are different now. I'm changed. I'm gonna be different this time around. Okay.
There's an understanding in sports as a coach that if you don't perform, you're going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like he did not do well the first time around, so he got fired. So I think there's a little bit less of that. I think the opportunity to coach a guy like Justin Herbert, you get excited about with weapons like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. But do we want a guy back that we fired? You know, like
right. Yeah, that's the idea.
Not only did he doesn't want to come back, but you guys were already most of the people that are like, Frank, you probably hated him 7 years ago.
Or weren't a chart. In all honesty, I'm not like digging at anybody, wasn't a fan at that point in time. Like there's a lot of new fans too.
That's that too. But I'm just saying, like people that are asking for him to come back, like I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It just seems kind of silly. I do not want a brand new offensive coordinator. I don't want someone that's never called plays before because that is a insanely large jump up in the game. I think I don't know. It might be bigger to go from position coach to play caller than
play caller to head
coordinator to head coach. That it might be an even bigger jump because there's so much. It's all on you. You're the one coming up with the game plan, executing, making the game time adjustments. That's a lot. So I do not want a fresh, never called plays before OC. Now, if they get it, game on, let's go. But that's not what I'm hoping for.
You want some seasoning, some seasoned OC.
Some seasoned curlies.
I'd bet on a guy like Lombardi. Like Lombardi, he'd done it before and he didn't do it well. But I would bet on a guy having learned and gotten better than a guy that's never done it before and we have no idea what we're going to see.
Well, and the thing that I'm curious about too is like because you have Justin Herbert, you're going to come in, your floor is going to be a certain level. Like this offense is going to do this.
Well, so expectations are out insanely high.
But I mean, like he had a rookie of the year season with Anthony Lynn in that offense.
Right.
So you're going to walk in with like a certain understanding that you're going to be this good no matter what. We need somebody that can go up to here. And that's going to be hard for us to see right off the bat because we do have Justin and he's going to hide some of the faults. So hopefully they hire somebody that can elevate. And I think that's what coach is probably trying to find out when he's interviewing people.
Right. Now, and I'm curious, Kyle, if it was a guy that is currently a position coach, but maybe had some like offensive coordinator experience either in college or maybe even high school.
That's fine.
That passes the
7-8 years of playing Madden.
Dude, position coach can hide so hard underneath a good coordinator.
Yeah.
You really can just hide and not like you don't have to know anything about play calling to be a good position.
Just more technique.
You have to be able to relate to the guys, be on their good side, coach good technique, and suck up to the coordinator. That's all you got to be able to do. And so, like, I just don't have faith that all those guys can then jump up and be a play caller. It's not that easy.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Absolutely.
Getting keys to a Ferrari and you don't know how to drive. Just got to be careful.
Now, what gear is first?
Yeah. What's a clutch?
Yeah.
I've driven the go-karts at Boomers, so
Same idea, right?
Yeah. Same idea.
I've played Madden, so I got that.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if I want to hit the X button, which one is that?
Who's Y?
Yeah, who's my Y?
That governor
Throw
was
to Y,
really
Justin.
holding me
Throw
back.
Y.
Yeah, that Family Fun
Look, X,
Center
throw Y.
governor really held me back. I think I can drive this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. House of Hayne, thank you for asking the question. Let's move on now to Forever Bolts,
Certified Fresh.
who asked the question. Kurt Warner seems like a legit dude and knows his stuff. Could he possibly be the Chargers OC in the future?
Kyle.
They want our opinion, Kyle. We should give it to them, I think. It's Kurt Warner.
Give it to them.
You guys go ahead. You got this.
He's a legit dude. And yes, he knows his stuff.
It kind of
My
goes
5-year-old son is a legit dude. He's a good guy.
Is he even like, he's not even coaching right now, right? He's like,
He's a commentator.
A commentator, yeah.
Yeah. He's a broadcaster. Yeah.
So
The thing is, like, everyone, there's no real direction we all see. There's no clear direction. There's no like number one guy who's like, that's the guy, go get him. You know what I mean?
There's no
people,
guy.
because people are talking about Phillip Rivers. I know that's not going to happen because I would love that too much.
I would cry and shit my pants at the same time.
There'd be so much shit and so many tears. And it would just be like,
okay,
I don't.
listen.
I would never. That would never happen to me. And if it did, I'd go buy a lottery ticket because it's too good to be true.
Remember when we were in Vegas last year for the basketball tournament? Who did the Chargers pick up?
Khalil Mack.
That was the trade for Khalil Mack. There's something that's going to happen.
When we go back to Vegas,
And could it be Phillip Rivers?
backup quarterback.
Oh, God.
backup quarterback
/ offensive coordinator.
Dude,
Yes.
that's like the movie with Adam Sandler. What's like The Longest Yard?
Yeah.
Remember what's his face? That super old dude is the backup quarterback
Yeah.
and calling plays.
Yeah.
But then at the end he sends himself in.
That's it. That's it.
Oh,
yeah, we would certainly
calling
take
plays in full shoulder pads, holding his helmet
with the black underneath his eye, ready to go in case it was needed.
And we know, I don't know if Kurt Warner has ever called a play. I know Phillip Rivers has called a play because I've seen him on the high school tape calling plays for that high school team. So Pat, he checks that mark for Kyle for sure.
He does make checks at the line of scrimmage, or at least he used to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
don't you know?
Yeah, Kurt Warner. Yes, I'm sure he seems like a legit dude. And if he gets interviewed, I think that'll make headlines because
that'll
it's
be
like
that would be like, if he got an interview and it was announced, it'd be like, what are we doing?
I mean, I guess we're doing our due diligence.
We are literally
the
raking the NFL and its broadcasters for an offensive coordinator. Literally, whatever gets caught in the rake, we'll interview him. Like,
I'll come interview just to meet some people.
Dude, come on.
Kyle's in.
Yeah.
He's the
Send him your
defensive
resume,
coordinator.
Kyle, please.
We'll try.
Diligence, Chargers, come interview me.
He's an outgoing guy. He'll get them to rally for sure.
All right. Forever Bolts, thank you for asking the question. Let's move on now to Hawaiian Surfer.
All right.
Who asked the question? Playoff showing once again that a strong run game and defense will close out those wins for you. Have you guys been looking into offensive coordinator candidates? Kyle, personally, the 4 I'd love to see hired are Dan Pitcher for the Bengals, Mike LaFleur from the Jets, Frank Reich, we know who he is, and Brian Johnson from the Eagles. You know, whoever we hire, Herbert has to be the center of this offense. You know, a run game needs to be developed so that when we get big leads, we can bleed the clock out like Cincy did versus the Bills. I mean, our passing game is shouting for creativity. Overall, we need an identity. The last 2 seasons have been a whole lot of Justin has to be Superman or this team looks dead. Any candidates you guys really want?
This is actually a good point. Like some of those like quarterback coaches or like offensive assistants, the ones you probably want to talk to at this point, at least to some degree, are the guys that can't be interviewed right now because they're getting ready for some big time games. So they said a couple of Eagles guy. He had a couple of Eagles guys in there. Like it's gonna be a long process. We're not gonna have an answer on who this is anytime soon. But
yeah,
I'm on the fence in general right now because right now it's just like a splatter against the wall, and you know, who
give me some
knows
finalists, and then I'll give you a say in who I would like out of those guys.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, no one's like jumping off the paper at me. And I just want a guy that has experience calling plays, that maybe has in a bad spot with a bad defense, got hired young, and now he's ready for a second chance.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Lombardi again.
Honestly, something in that I'm like kind of in that same vein. Yeah, like he got the job in Detroit as an offensive coordinator. Like no one's good offensive coordinator in Detroit. What do you got to work with most of the time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like somebody that has some experience that hopefully has gone and learned. I don't know, like Lombardi gave us kind of what we expected, guys. Like that's what the Saints were. They were short underneath, dump the ball off. Your run game is short passing game. You need the guys like Alvin Kamara that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Like we got what we thought we were going to get. It just wasn't
we have too good of a quarterback
enough
for that.
Yeah. So we need to develop we need a guy that can institute a running game, a rushing offense.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
What about what was it? Was Frank Smith? Is he the where did he go? I wouldn't mind him coming back for an interview. Is he an offensive coordinator now? I think he is.
I don't know.
I've heard his name getting tossed around as one that fans would like to have.
That's the one that comes to mind because
coordinator.
we were running the ball so much better last year than we are this year. You know what I mean? Like, and that's if you're
This
gonna
says offensive coordinator for the Dolphins right now.
that makes sense. But he doesn't call plays because old goofball over there is calling plays. Head coach, I call him goofball. So hey, maybe you want to come back and actually call the plays and not just make recommendations. Come on over.
Yeah.
Come on over. Come on over, Frank
baby.
All right. Well, there you go. Hawaiian Surfer, thank you for asking the question. And we go out of Ask Boltfam with Mickey Coates,
Mickey,
who asked the
Mickey
question.
Coates.
You're so fun, you blow my mind, hey Mickey. Hey Mickey.
Who asked the question?
If you could add any former Charger to this team in their prime, who would you add? To be honest, I think giving Vincent Jackson to Herbert would do incredible things. I do miss Eric Weddle, too, though.
All right.
Junior Seau.
Yeah, like solves your middle linebacker
Junior
problem.
Seau's always the answer in every question, every scenario. If we didn't have a quarterback, I'd say Phillip Rivers, but Junior Seau for me.
Yeah, I'd say
Antonio Gates?
that would solve a problem toot sweet.
Antonio Gates would be good too.
I'm just saying.
I just want Junior Seau.
I know. We all would
Or
love to have Junior
why
Seau.
don't we just add LaDainian Tomlinson, do a 1-2 punch with Austin Eckler? I don't know how you can't go all LaDainian, actually. All LaDainian all day for what this offense
I'll go
needs.
Junior Seau. You can go LT and
I'll
you can
go
go Gates. All great options.
All great options. I'm going LT for sure.
All right.
No offense to Austin, but I think they could work really well together.
Oh, got a 1-2 punch of LT and Austin.
Austin being the
Shit.
two.
And you can line
That's
him out in
quite
wide receiver. He doesn't have to always play running back. He can like do a little bit of both. God, I want this to happen.
That'd be cool. It's not.
Yeah, what's LT doing? You can get him out of commentating. Bring him
He
in.
seems like a solid guy.
Can he call plays? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
We need you to do a lot for this team.
LT offensive coordinator. That's
Slash
exactly
running
what we
back.
need.
We wouldn't throw the ball one time.
Not one time.
All right. Well, Mickey, there you go. Thank you for asking the question. And thank you, everybody, for asking questions and Ask Bolt Fam. We really appreciate it.
We do.
But that's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat. Any final thoughts there, gentlemen?
It's kind of weird going a week without talking to you guys. So I'm just going to have to get used to this, I guess. But I had a lot of fun. I feel good. I'm happier now.
It's absence makes the heart grow fonder, my friend. And I think, yeah.
I'm fond.
I am fond of you.
Consider me fond.
Consider me fonder. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat, folks. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Viewer discretion is advised.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant.
Blue 42, I got the coordinator in my sights. The egg is in the basket. I repeat, the egg is in the basket. We're going to need backup.
God, boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Detective C.A.R.T. comes for you? Hey, C.A.R.T. boys.
boys, C.A.R.T boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? C.A.R.T boys, C.A.R.T boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
C.A.R.T.S is filmed on location with the men and women of cart corralling. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.